Every empire starts somewhere. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, a handful of trading families in Singapore turned shophouses and small trading posts into regional trade hubs. They leveraged port access, diaspora networks, and early investments in commodities to turn modest fortunes into multi-generational wealth. This family story begins with a single entrepreneur who reinvested earnings into ships, warehouses, and land, then used marriage alliances and smart succession to protect and grow the estate. By the time the city became a colonial trading center, these foundations had already multiplied several times over.
With trade booming, the family diversified fast. Rice, rubber, and tin exports paid for reinvestment into ships and logistics. They moved beyond trading to control processing, storage, and distribution, the classic move from trader to industrialist. Profits were funneled into property in prime locations, and the family began buying stakes in emerging colonial banks and shipping lines. That vertical integration is what multiplied returns. Control the product, the logistics, and the market. Quiet, patient compounding over decades created capital that neighboring rivals simply couldn't match.
By mid-century, the family had transformed into a corporate powerhouse. They launched companies across real estate, shipping, commodities, and manufacturing, often using holding companies to centralize control. Strategic partnerships with international capital opened new markets, while conservative accounting and reinvestment policies kept the group stable through downturns. Their name became synonymous with warehouses, docks, and factories, and later, modern office towers. This was the transition from wealthy family to diversified conglomerate, the insurance policy that allowed wealth to last.
Old money shows itself in properties and patronage, ancestral mansions, colonial townhouses, and private art collections. The family invested heavily in trophy real estate, both for status and as stable capital. Art, antiques, and cultural donations served dual aims: public goodwill and asset preservation. Their private residences doubled as family archives, with portraits, ledgers, and heirlooms documenting the rise. This accumulation isn't just ostentation, it's a risk-averse store of value that survived wars, depression.
Regional success pushed them global. Investments followed trade routes, warehouses in Southeast Asia, shipping stakes in Europe, and partnerships in emerging markets. They used holding companies and offshore structures to access capital and protect assets, a common tool for large family groups. Global expansion also diversified currency and political risk. When one market slowed, another often picked up the slack. This global footprint is why a single family can be described as worth figures that sound surreal. Their wealth is spread across companies, land, stocks, and private investments on several continents. Sustaining wealth across generations requires rules. This family kept a tight governance model, family councils, trusts, and clear succession plans. They separated ownership from management. Professional CEOs ran businesses, while family members sat on strategic committees. Education and grooming of heirs was institutionalized, with family members trained in law, finance, and diplomacy. What can you learn from this family? First, compounding. Reinvest profits early. Second, diversification. Control multiple links of a value chain. Third, governance. Rules prevent ruin. Fourth, long-term thinking. Wealth built over generations resists short-term panic. Whether 700B is literal or a headline number, the real lesson is structure.
systems that outlast individuals. If you're building a business, think like a dynasty. Protect capital, diversify intelligently, and document governance. That's how fortunes survive decades and sometimes centuries.